Hello and welcome to the next video of the LEC preview series. We're covering Rogue in this one. I have this team ranked 4th going into the year, simply because everybody on the team is meh, average. They're all 5th in their role going into this season, which is really weird to say the God's honest truth. Last season Rogue were ranked 10th. They finished 10th, sorry. They didn't get to playoffs even once. No group stage. None of that. A very disappointing season. They still have Larson. They still have Freddie as the coach. And have added a bunch of pieces to that roster. Brought back Malrung, and we're going to talk about that. In 2022, this team finished 2nd in championship points. It did win summer, but finished 2nd in championship points in what was a 3-year stretch of going to Worlds. So something to keep in mind as well, that this team has been to international events in the past. But this roster just feels very leftovers, if you will, and gatekeepy, in that I think this team is capable of beating quite a few teams if they don't play at their best. But if they play at their best, Rogue could end up falling to teams that are ranked below them, if that makes sense. Like, if I have, G2, I think. Well, it depends how Skuman does off the rip, but G2 I think should be better. But like a team like BDS would surely be able to beat Rogue if BDS show up and play at their best. But if they don't, Rogue's probably going to beat them because there's some experience here on how to play out the game in this squad. So in top lane, we have Adam. Adam is the only one not 24 years old on this team right now. Had a 3.1 KDA, 58.5 KP, 7.6 CS per minute with BDS last season. Of course, Adam's biggest perk is his champion pool, something that's very hard to play against because it is so unique. Negative 0.5% share differential, which we'll talk about. This team is going to have a problem. Something has to change. 1.2 damage divided by gold, down 20 gold at 15 minutes. 2.69 vision efficiency, which is another problem on this team. 23 champions in 76 games. 23 years old, like I said. Kesante, Renekton, and Olaf were his 3 most played for 41% of his champion pool. Now, I mentioned a couple things there. Share differential. I did the math on this team. It's behind. Let's go over it. So, negative 12.6 out of the 3 non-carry roles. I mean, top lane can be carry as well. But negative 12.6. And only 8.7. So, really, we are negative 3.9% in terms of damage share minus gold share on this team. You may say, yeah, well, it's all these players coming from different teams intermixing. My point is, most of these players were not that exceptional player last season on their team that gave the team so much more damage than they were receiving in gold. They were afterthoughts from the carry perspective. So somebody's going to need to step up on this team that did not do it last year, and maybe more than one, because 3.9% is a lot. And honestly, I don't see that coming from the 80 carrier mid lane role necessarily. Maybe a bit from both, and it evens out. Malrung at jungle, one of the best facilitators in the West a couple years ago. Very tough to play against in the early game. He's very active. If he can get the ball moving, it is hard to stop it. You have to match that aggression or simply play safe through the laning phase as the enemy team and then win the mid to late game, because Malrung, he's probably picked a champion that is only viable in the early game, and then after that he's going to struggle. So a 3.7 KDA and a 75.3 KP in CBLOL last season. 3 out of every 4 kills, very active. 5.3 CS per minute, negative 6 share differential, and a 0.85 ROI. Some of the lowest you're going to find in LOL Esports. Down 270 gold at 15 minutes. Another issue on this team. Because they don't have that carry threat, they really struggle to get ahead in the early game. Doing the math on that, we're behind 290, behind 50, 555, 670 gold at 15 minutes. That is massive. If they average a 670 gold deficit at 15 minutes this season, 4th place is not going to happen. I mean, I wrote 4th place down because that's what happened when you had 5 5th place players. But that also takes into account some teams that have players that are ranked at the bottom because they're rookies, and they may be better than some of these guys. Executes is also very tentative because 1/3 of the games were in CK. Malrung, 3.58 vision efficiency. This team was not very efficient with their ward placement last season. Nobody on it really has a good vision efficiency. 13 champions, 29 games. Sejuani, Xinjiao, and Rel, 41% of his games played. Mid lane is Larson. Larson's fifth in his role. And it's something. I really thought about it when I was looking at the ranks of the LEC mids compared to everyone else. They're very strong. It's a region there where mid is definitely their best role. And Larson's a solid player. Is he exceptional? No. But is he solid and consistent? In my opinion, yes. 3.5 KDA, 74 KP, 9.3 CS per minute. The team fought around him last season, 3 out of every 4 kills. 4.7 share differential, 1.43 ROI, up 240 gold at 15 minutes, so he was ahead in the laning phase. 2.32 vision efficiency, 10 champions, 29 games. Azir Corky Tristana, 53% of his champion pool, only player with above 50% of his games played on 3 champions. Patrick leaving Excel and Giant X and going to Rogue. Patrick is one of those players that it's kind of a surprise that he's still in the LEC. I mean, might as well have kept comp. Unforgiven is a backup. Exokick is a backup. What are we doing? Patrick, 3.5 KDA, 73 KP, 8.9 CS per minute. They made sure Patrick was involved in their team's kills, at least last season for Giant X. I mean, 73%. That's something that I did notice as well with this team. All the KPs are very high. So these players on those teams were very active in what their teams did. 4 share differential, 1.46 ROI, down 505 gold at 15 minutes. So he and Ignar really struggling last season in the laning phase. 2.6 vision efficiency, 16 champions, 48 games. And the vision efficiency, the problem with that is with him, when it comes to vision efficiency is that Ashe was his most played champion and his vision efficiency is not near the top. Varus Ezreal as well, 35% of his games. Execute returns to the LEC, played with Astralis, left to go play with VRX last season, lost his job to Duro, and now returns to the LEC. Remember, 35 of the 88 games are CK games, Challenger games. 2.5 KDA, 73.7 KP, so very active, once again. Negative 6.1 share differential, 0.7 ROI, which is a surprise. Less aggressive than I thought he would have been statistically. Down 115 gold at 15 minutes, only 1.71 vision efficiency. Fifth in his role based on this stat line. 17 champions in 88 games. Rel Nautilus Rakan, 44% of his games played. This might be the first team where we have one of the most played being the same for 2 players. Freddy122 is the coach. Has been the coach of Rogue for a long time. It may be the only coach they've had. 50% win rate in the regular season with 117 wins and 117 losses. Playoffs, group stage, whatever we want to call it, the last couple of years. 45 and 59 over his career for a 43% win rate. And internationally, 7 and 15 with a 32% win rate. So like I said, this team is 4th because every player on it is average. There is no player that shows that either they're a rookie or they're not, they're towards the bottom. There's nobody exceptional, but there's also no one towards the bottom. So with that in mind, this team's going to need a carry threat. Someone's going to have to perform at a high level and be one of the top players in their role if they want to have a chance to actually be a top 4 team. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.